Am I getting feed on the, okay, now I'm getting feed on the mic. Am I getting feed on, okay, now I'm getting feed on the mic.
Okay, he's muted apparently. Okay.
He's chosen to mute himself. Trying to mute yourself.
Let's see. That's great, Tom. So we're just gonna.
I'm interested.
Just gonna do this.
I wrote this beanie there just because my hair was looking awful and I was going to summer, so I put a beanie on. And I was just like, oh, my hair looks awful all day, so I'll just wear the beanie. I'm not a real beanie boy. Oh, Harley? It's working. I'm like 20% sure he's saying.
Oh, Harley?
Okay, now can you guys hear me? Of course, now that I finally muted. Okay, now can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. About stinking time. All right, how you guys doing?
Pretty well.
Good.
Good. So it looks like, okay, who do I have here? I've got Kaz,
And Isaac.
and Isaac. Okay, so we're still missing quite a few people. That's okay. Let me at least check the event page and see. Maybe they haven't seen it. I don't know. Either way, what the heck? Why is it playing over here now? All right, sorry. All right. Either way, it's recording. They can watch it later. If they don't want to watch it, they're lost. That's okay. Okay. Did you at least get the invite this time?
Yeah, we did.
I got the invite.
Okay. I just need to make sure that I post this announcement real quick for the onto the Canvas course so they can see it. Okay. Let me link that. All right, we're good to go. Okay, guys. So let's talk about some things real quickly. So far, we've kind of talked about economics in a bit of a vacuum, in a little bit of a bubble, kind of what people do inside their own head. And, oops, let me switch back to myself. There we go. we've talked about what economics is inside of a bubble, kind of inside your own head or when you're alone on an island kind of thing. And it's something that we refer to as Crusoe economics, because we're talking as though you are Robinson Crusoe. How do you choose to spend your time? How do you choose to allocate resources that you have available to you and whatnot? But now we've got to take into account that you are not living on an island. Okay, you are living in a great, big, fantastic world where now it's not just you competing for resources and trying to allocate how you spend your time and where to use these resources, but the idea that you interact with other people. They have their own time values and they have their own resources at their disposal. And the question is, if I want something they've got, what do I do? They want something that I've got, what do I do? So this week we're going to start looking into the economics of trade and exchange and why people trade with other people, why they might not want to trade with other people, and what the benefits are from exchange in the marketplace. Okay. First of all, I'm just getting onto Canvas for last week, and I haven't looked to see if you guys had any questions. I've got like one old assignment, and then I've got some assignments that I posted for you guys on Wednesday that I don't think anyone's had a chance to look at because I don't see any assignments in there. Did you guys get online and play Stick Wars at all? Or did I even make that an assignment?
No. A lot of the assignments are locked.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, the two ones that you had on.
Review Stick Wars was locked. Dang it. Okay.
Yeah, and some of them are like due for past dates that they weren't even on mine.
Does it say that it's not available anymore? Even if it's for a past date, does it say it's not available?
It's still available, but you have to complete a module.
You have to do the old assignments before you can do the new assignments, right? Okay.
But then, even when you've completed the old assignments, it still doesn't let you access. I think it's incentives and intentions.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What I'm doing right now is I'm removing the prerequisites from that, so that hopefully now you shouldn't have to go through. Now you should have access to all the assignments anytime, if that helps.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Because what I really want you guys to do is get in and play Stick Wars and see how the economic concepts that we've talked about so far apply. Because kind of the way that have you guys ever played the game Stick Wars before?
I think I have.
Okay, you've got this little character and you've got these guys and you've got miners and you've got soldiers and you've got this tower that you're trying to defend. And if you successfully defend your tower against some enemies, then suddenly you get all of their resources. And so you have access to their gold mines, and you have access to their weapon technology. And so since I played that game, or I thought I had made that game available to you guys, it's available now, just so you know. So if you want to jump on and do it right after our discussion today, it'll be available. But when I have you guys play that game, it does a really good job of identifying economic concepts but in a way that I don't like. And I'll explain why in just a second. Because it has the idea at the very root of the game that there are some other people over there and they have resources that I want. And the only way that I can go about getting resources from those people over there is to go and kill them all and take their resources. Okay. Well, last week we talked a little bit about how we determine ownership of a resource, kind of through the first mover or the first improver principle, what we call the homesteading principle. That if it's land or if it's labor, you naturally own your own labor. And if it's land or natural resources, then you should have the ability to own something as long as you've applied your labor to it in a productive way, or at least claim rights of ownership. And then whatever you've applied your labor to in a productive way, now you've got capital. And it's obvious to know if you own capital or not, because either you produced something, at which point you own it, or if you were hired by someone else to produce that thing, then you don't own it, they own it because they hired you, they bought your labor. And so it's really easy to establish ownership. Okay, so if we're looking at the game, there's this other group of people over there that have something that I want. So obviously the most intelligent option that I can come up with is to simply kill them and take their stuff. I mean, does that seem like it's just a reasonable? If you think about it, that's kind of the history of the world, right? Hey, they've got something I want, kill them and take it. The question is there a better way? Because war is costly and fighting is dangerous and there's a lot of risk involved. So are there better ways that I can get the things that I want, allow other people to get the things that they want in a less risky, less, I don't know, deadly environment? And the reality of it is that we do that on a regular basis. Okay, if you've acquired something recently, like you got, gee, I don't know. Okay, sorry, hold on. All right, sorry. I've got to send the link to a few more people real quickly. Sorry. This will take just a second. Sorry, guys. All right, we got someone else. All right, cool. All right, so guys, the main idea that I want to get to is that there is an easier way to get what you want rather than going off and killing people, right? I mean, that seems like it should be a given, but for some reason through most of human history, it has not been, and we always thought that that was like strange that you would just, I don't know, go trade with people instead of killing them. I've got some pretty good explanations for that, but since this isn't a government class, I'm not going to jump into it.
What, Mom? Yeah.
All right, give me just 1 second. Sorry, I got one more request for the link. I thought I sent it to everyone. All right. Let me add.
Can you say stuff?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Muted.
Oh, whoops. Hey,
That's
Kaz.
all right. I can mute you too, but I can hear you.
I didn't know. I thought it was muted because it had the X line through it.
I can hear you, so I don't know if maybe, can you hear yourself?
No.
Okay, that's right, I can hear you.
That's why Kaz sits behind me in seminary.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Can you see Kaz? Like,
Yeah.
do you guys see all the people down at the bottom of the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, because that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted this to be a little bit more open dialogue than it was in weeks past. Okay, because for some reason it was blocking some people out, or you could watch it on the event page, but you couldn't get into the actual video conversation. And this is what I want. I want to be in on the video conversation. Okay, and if you guys want to use the group chat on the side, you can use the group chat to ask questions. If you don't want to interrupt, but you want to ask a question. Or you also have the Q&A available if you want to use that. Okay. Like Andrew saying hi on the group chat. So I don't know if he's watching on the event page or what. All right. Sorry about that. This is the reason why I try and use the microphone instead of listening on the big window. All right. Okay. Sorry. I said listening on the big window instead of using the microphone on my camera. All right. So guys, let's get down to business now that we're like 20 minutes in and we haven't really got anything done. Just to review, I unlocked all the previous modules, so you don't need the link to, or you don't need to complete the assignments in the previous modules in order to get to the new assignment, because we've kind of done some basic introductory stuff, and I think our assignments for this past week have been really fun, and there's some really good videos with the assignments for this week that are really, really powerful. This is where we really start to unleash the potential of economic analysis and understanding. And there's actually an activity that we are going to do at the EPIC conference. If you can make it there, and I know some of you have other events going on, so don't feel bad if you can't make it, and that's fine. But if you can make it to the EPIC conference, there's a cool activity that I really like to do. It's what I do with my classes all the time, and I call it my magic trick. And it's a lot of fun. But I want to get down into the nitty-gritty today. About why we trade stuff with other people. And this is the idea that there's multiple reasons why we trade stuff with other people. And I'm just going to try and write some of them in this empty space on my whiteboard. That's kind of why I like to have the whiteboard right there. So the question is, why trade? Why would we trade anything with anyone? What do you guys think? Why would you want to trade stuff with people? Hold on. Let me know who wants to talk, and I'll give you the screen time.
To use what you don't want to get what you do want.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So partly because you might have something that's really not very valuable to you. You're not going to use it for anything productive. So maybe I could trade it for someone, and they value it a heck of a lot more than I do. So here's a question. All right, Kaz, I know you have a job, so I'm going to pick on you real quick.
Okay.
Okay. When you're not at work, what do you spend most of your time doing?
Schoolwork or doing things with my friends, I guess.
Okay, so
mutual and other activities like that on yeah.
All right, cool. So you spend some time with your friends, you do some things that you enjoy, you work on schoolwork, and that's all fine and dandy. How much does hanging out with your friends pay you?
No.
8 joys an hour.
Okay, yes, exactly. There's some compensation there, but it doesn't give you money. And so you might do less of that than working, or you might be willing to go to work knowing full well that, well, your friends are patient. I can take my labor and I can trade it to someone else who thinks that it's more valuable than I do. Or even I just take my time and I can trade it to someone else who thinks that it's more valuable than I do. Okay? And that's probably the best reason why we trade, okay, is to reallocate scarce resources. Okay. Whoa. We're going to reallocate scarce resources to places where they're more valuable. How do we know who values resources more? Well, who's willing to give up more in order to get it? Okay, it's kind of like an auction on resources. So, have you guys ever been to an auction before? You've seen auctions on like eBay or anything like that? You know what that's like? Okay, and who walks away with that resource?
The one who wanted it most.
Yeah, the person who valued it most. Because, and how do we know they valued it most? Because they were willing to pay the highest price. Maybe you wanted it really, really bad, okay, but you didn't get it. Does that mean that you didn't want it? No, it means that you either were unwilling or unable to do what was necessary to outbid someone else. Okay, so we trade in order to reallocate scarce resources to places where they are more valuable. And that seems like it's, oh, that's so simple. Okay, of course we do. But the implications of that are pretty astounding, all right? Because what that means is sometimes I'm going to produce a resource that I have no intention of using whatsoever. But why am I going to produce it?
To trade it for money?
Exactly, because I could trade it with someone else. And I might be trading for money, or I might be trading for other goods and services. So one of the videos that I'm going to have you guys watch, I just want to tell you about it real quickly, is Professor Mike Munger talking about the prisoner of war camps in Germany and what a lot of these European soldiers would get, these little care packages. And inside these care packages, there would be some food, some basic hygiene supplies, and there would almost always be a pack of cigarettes. All right. Oh, are you trying something on my face?
That's pretty cool.
Because if you are drawing on my face, then I just might have to... Oh, it's not supported on your platform. What? Why can I not draw on you? Thanks.
Oh my gosh.
I love it sticks to his face though.
I was going to give you a pretty princess crown, but I guess I'll have to wear the pretty princess crown instead. Dang.
Hey, you're rocking it.
Okay. All right.
All right, go on.
But the reality... No, guys. So, sorry, I know. I got to stay on task because we've got a lot to do, and I want to finish up with you guys. So you had a whole bunch of these prisoners of war in these POW camps in Germany and in other parts of Europe during World War II. And they would get these packets with cigarettes in them. And if you're one of these soldiers who doesn't smoke cigarettes, what good are the cigarettes to you? Well,
Nothing.
Yeah, you say, well, I'm not going to use these at all, right? But what they discovered is that for some people, the cigarettes were their favorite part of the package. So guys who at the beginning were taking these packages of cigarettes and just tossing them, giving them away to people, now all of a sudden they're saying, wait a minute, someone else values this to their detriment, obviously, but that means that I can get something for this. Forget giving away this pack of cigarettes. I can trade it for something else. Okay, and my guess is that most of you guys have experience trading things with either siblings, or maybe when you were little, if you took your lunch to school and you got something in your lunch that wasn't very good. I know some of you have been homeschooled forever, but you still take lunch to school or to other activities or to events. I don't care. You know the concept of taking lunch, and your mom or your dad or whoever packs your lunch, they put something in there you don't like, someone else likes it. Guys, it's the typical, oh, I traded this apple for a small packet of the Pringles potato chips or something like that. The question is, why trade? So we reallocate resources. Who cares? So, I mean, we can reallocate resources all we want. I mean, I value someone else's car more than they do. Can I just go take their car or borrow their car? There are tons of ways to reallocate resources. So again, now we've got to ask the question again. Why trade? Well, I'm going to show you something, and that is that voluntary trade is, type it up. Voluntary trade is win-win. What does that mean? So I have a set of resources available to me, okay? And in the set of resources that I have available to me, I obviously have some that I value more than others, some that I like, some that I don't really care for, but I've got some that I really like. Now, you've got some resources that I really want. And in fact, you've got resources that I value more than some of the resources that I have. And chances are I probably have resources that you value more than some of the resources that you have. And so you say, hey, you know what? I want some of those oranges that you've got, and I know that you want some of these chickens that I've got. So let's put together the swap and let's trade, and I'll trade you some oranges for my chickens. And I say, okay, great. What's our exchange rate? How many oranges per chicken, or how many chickens per orange, depending on the relative scarcity of oranges to chicken. And we trade. And who is made better off by trading? In this scenario. Yeah, in this scenario, both of us are made better off, because both of us now have something that we wanted that we didn't have before. Can trade ever be involuntary? What do you guys think?
No.
So let me ask you a question, okay? So a new video game comes out. Oh, we lost someone. A new video game comes out, and it's really, really expensive. And you go and you buy this game, and I don't know what video games are going for these days, but let's say it was like $85. It was insane. And so you bought this game, and you go, oh, it was a ripoff. I had to pay $85 for this thing. Those guys are thieves. All right. Well, what does that tell us about this scenario?
You ended up worse.
Did you end up worse?
Because you bought a game that you were valuing it higher than it was. Then when you got to play the game, it turned out to be not as highly valued as you put it. So then if you would have known what it would have been like, you would have used the money for something that was worth it.
Okay, so in this scenario, let's say you haven't played the game yet, and you still think you got ripped off. But you were willing to pay the price, weren't you? I mean, you did. You paid the price. And so that tells us that whether you thought the price was too high, you were still willing to pay it. If you really valued your $85 more than you valued the game, you would have kept your $85. Now, like you mentioned, after you've played the game a little bit, Now you have a more perfect knowledge of what the gameplay is like. Now you might feel ripped off. Okay? And so what's your strategy? Well, I don't value it as much as I valued my $85. You can try and do a couple things. One, you can try and get your money back, or two, you can try and sell it to someone else who does think that it's worth more, right? Okay. But the idea here is when people say, oh, I got ripped off, oh, the price is too high. Well, guess what? Then don't buy the product, because you've got the ultimate option to walk away from a trade. That if you enter into a trade involuntarily, it's going to make you worse off. But if you are able to trade things based on voluntary choices, it's a win-win. It's a win-win. And when we have the conference, we do the activity. I'll show you. Every single time, there is some benefit to be made from trading with someone else. All right. But there's more than just the reallocation of resources. And I want to show you some of these other things. All right. And this gets a little bit math. It gets a little crazy. Okay. But it's worth understanding. And you say, okay, but what if I there's someone over here and I do everything better than they do. I can paint better pictures, I can make better food, I can build better houses, I can dig a better ditch. We might look and say, okay, relative to each other, the one person who is better at all those things has an absolute advantage in life. They have an absolute advantage in their productive ability. They're absolutely better than the other person at everything they can do, right? But that doesn't mean that there's no value in cooperation or in trading with this other person. Because now I want to talk to you guys about the concept of what we call, if I can type it up here, comparative advantage. And comparative advantage is essentially the idea that you can be made better off by cooperating and trading with other people. Okay. So let's have an example here. Give me two activities that people can do that would be good, productive activities. What do you guys think? Give me some ideas. Or things that you can make. What are some things that you could make?
You could go hunt and get meat.
Okay. So let's say I've got one product over here, and that product is going to be meat, and then I've got another product, and let's say our second product that we're going to look at is juice. All right? And I've got two folks. I got two friends over here, and one is going to be named Jimmy, and I've got another one named Johnny. And yes, this is as ridiculous as it sounds, but this is how economics really works. And Jimmy is a better hunter than Johnny is. He's just generally a better athlete. When it comes to making orange juice, he can pick more oranges and he can juice faster. Oh, no. Sorry. Oranges, apple juice. We're looking at apple juice. Why? Because you just run it through this big, giant grinder machine. Okay. So Jimmy is better. Jimmy, how much meat can Jimmy produce per hour? What do you guys think? Let's say that Jimmy can produce 150 pounds of meat per hour, all right? And Johnny can only produce, let's say, 50 pounds of meat per hour. And Jimmy can produce 60 gallons of juice per hour. I'm sorry, Jimmy can produce 60 gallons of juice per hour, but Johnny can produce 45 gallons of juice per hour. So we look at these two scenarios that we've got right here, and we say, okay, well, Jimmy is better off without Johnny, because Johnny is obviously just a big schlub. Johnny can't do much of anything. He's not much of a hunter. He's not much at picking fruit or producing fruit. Obviously, they've got nothing to benefit from cooperating and working together. And this is where we're going to tie in some of the old things that we've talked about before. We're going to look at the opportunity cost. So, for example, if this is how much they can produce per hour, in order for Jimmy to produce 150 pounds of meat, what does he have to give up? What can he not be producing during that same time frame?
Orange juice, apple juice.
Apple juice, that's right, okay? So he has to give up 60 gallons of juice to produce 150 pounds of meat. Well, this is where we're going to do some quick math, if I have some space, or if I can draw this real quickly. All right, so let's see if you can do 60 gallons of juice per 150 pounds. Okay, it's 60 divided by 150. How many gallons per pound? So you can do 1 gallon per 2.5 pounds of meat, right? So each gallon of juice that he produces costs him 2.5 pounds of meat. And each pound of meat that he produces is going to cost him roughly, you know, do the math here, a fifth of a gallon of juice or something like that. Hold on. Let me pop something up for you guys real quickly. Uh-oh. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so if we're looking at my screen here, and we've got the calculator for if Jimmy can produce 150 pounds of meat, or he can produce 60 gallons of juice. So each gallon of juice that he produces is going to cost him 2.5 pounds of meat, right? And every gallon of, or every pound of meat that he produces is going to cost him 0.4 pounds of meat. Okay. Can you guys see my calculator?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, making sure. All right. So for every pound of meat that Jimmy produces, he has to give up 2.5 gallons of juice, or for every gallon of juice that he gives up, or that he produces, he has to give up 0.4 pounds of meat. Well, now let's look at Johnny. Okay, let me erase this down here. Let's calculate some of Johnny's math out a little bit. All right. So for Johnny, for every 50 pounds of meat that he produces, he has to give up 45 gallons of juice. And for every 45 gallons of juice that he produces, he has to give up 50 pounds of meat. All right? Well, let's get back to our calculator and figure out what that translates to. All right, so let's clear this up. So for every 50 pounds of meat that Johnny produces, he has to give up 45 gallons of juice. So that means that each pound of meat only costs him 1.1 gallons of juice. But every gallon of juice costs him 0.9 pounds. Okay, so let's look at this. So for Jimmy, 1 pound of meat is going to cost, 0.4 gallons of juice. For Johnny, 1 pound of meat is going to cost 0.9 gallons of juice. For which one of these guys does juice cost more?
Johnny, obviously.
Yeah, so Johnny, it costs Johnny more to make as much juice as it does for Jimmy. Okay. So the idea behind comparative advantage is that now instead of saying, well, I can produce more, no, I can produce more, is now we want to look at it and we want to say, yeah, but who can produce more at a lower cost? Okay. So this is, I'm going to type this word out for you guys. It's going to be a long, complex word, but I want you to get it. This is, because it ties in like everything that we've done up to this point. This is the all right. I'm going to put it down here all the way across the screen. Hopefully it shows up. This is the marginal production opportunity cost. All right. So what the heck does that mean? Well, what does it mean to do something on the margin? What does marginal mean? Do you guys remember what it means to do something on the margin?
I've never heard that expression.
What? That means you haven't watched some of my videos. Okay, that's all right.
Narratively.
Marginal simply means
Yeah.
you're adding one additional unit. Does that make sense? So, do you guys remember when I had you do the ice cream thing? I'm going to hand you an ice cream cone, I'm going to hand you an ice cream cone, hand you an ice cream cone, and you're adding one additional unit. Okay. Marginal simply means that you're adding one additional unit. Okay. And now we've got production. What is production? What does it
How
mean?
much you produce.
Yeah, what does it mean to produce something? To produce. It means to make some new
Create.
resource. Yeah, you've made some new resource. And now this is the big one. Opportunity cost. What does opportunity cost mean?
It's the cost of other things you could be doing while you're doing something else.
Exactly. It's what you gave up in order to get what you're doing. Okay. So, like in this scenario we're looking at here, we're comparing meat to apple juice. And for Jimmy, the opportunity cost of 1 pound of meat is 0.4 gallons of juice. For Johnny, the opportunity cost of 1 pound of meat is 0.9 gallons of juice. Right? All right. And that's where we're looking at what does it cost them? What's the production cost of making one additional unit? So let's look at this scenario real quickly because it's kind of complicated, but based on this, does Jimmy have anything to gain by trading with Johnny? Because look, it costs Jimmy less to produce, it costs him less to produce juice than it does for Johnny. But do you remember what Jimmy has to give up? Or I'm sorry, it costs him less to make meat. Do you remember what Jimmy has to give up in order to make 1 gallon of juice? It costs him 2.5 pounds of meat. Okay? That's his, it's going to cost Jimmy 2.5 pounds of meat to make 1 gallon of juice. And what was it going to cost Johnny to produce 1 gallon of juice? Well, it only was going to cost him 1.1 pound of meat to produce a gallon of juice. So Jimmy is better at producing both meat and juice, but because his time is a scarce resource, he can't allocate his time to producing both meat and juice and walk away happy. Okay? So what he does is he says, okay, Jimmy, here's the deal. Or he talks to Johnny. Here's the deal. I will produce meat for both of us. And in 1 hour, how much meat can Jimmy produce?
150 pounds.
Yep, 150 pounds. Okay, I got to actually erase all this real quickly. So if you don't have this written down, write it down. I don't have it written down. Okay, so Jimmy, 150 meat, 60 juice, and Johnny gets 50 meat and 45 juice. Okay, great. I'm going to clear this page off. Boom, done. All right.
Exactly like it.
So now let's look at this, because we'll try and make this a little bit less complicated for you guys. And I'm going to give you a scenario. So now, each of them working independently, they allocate their time to splitting it halfway between meat and juice. So in half an hour, how much meat can Johnny produce? So in half an hour, Johnny can produce
25 pounds.
Johnny can produce 25 pounds of meat. And how many gallons of juice can he produce in half an hour?
22.5.
22.5 gallons of juice. Okay. And now let's look at Jimmy. Jimmy, how much meat can Jimmy produce in half an hour? He can produce 75 pounds of meat, and in half an hour he can produce 30 gallons of juice. Okay. Well, between the two of them, let's add this up and let's see what they were able to produce. If they each allocated half of their time to producing one thing or the other, okay, how much did they produce? Well, how much meat did they produce? They produced 100 pounds of meat combined, and they produced 52.5 gallons of juice, right? Well, what if instead of each of them splitting their time 50-50, they chose, helps if I type my words right, they chose to specialize. And by specializing in one thing or another, meaning identifying who has the lower marginal production opportunity cost, and then they focus on that one thing. So it cost Jimmy less juice in order to make more meat than it did Johnny, and it cost Johnny more meat and less juice. Oops. Cost him less meat to produce more juice. So what if we looked and said, okay, Johnny has comparative advantage in meat production. I'm sorry, Jimmy has comparative advantage in meat production, and Johnny has comparative advantage in juice production. And so Jimmy's going to just specialize in meat, and Johnny's going to just specialize in juice. And by trading between the two of them, let's see now what they can each produce. Okay, so Johnny allocates all of his time, or I'm sorry, Jimmy allocates all of his time to producing meat, right? And if Jimmy allocates all of his time to producing meat, how many pounds of meat do they have? They've got 150 pounds of meat. And if Johnny allocates all of his time to producing juice, he's going to produce 45 gallons of juice. Now, between the two of them, if they specialize, now they're giving up less juice in order to get more meat. Both of them are made better off. Okay? So trade enables us to specialize, to focus our skills where they're more productive. So not just reallocate resources, but allows us to reallocate time to where it's more productive. And the last thing that I want to show you guys is that trade enables us to conserve resources. So this is a big one because a lot of people think that a free market capitalism is really dangerous and detrimental to the environment. And the reality of it is that free market capitalism is actually one of the best tools that we have to conserve scarce resources, because it makes sure that the relative scarcity of the resources reflected in the price. It enables people to produce more with less by engaging in specialized trade. But ultimately, it's because it encourages us to cooperate into productive efforts as opposed to fighting over dangerous and deadly pursuits. Okay? Do you guys have any questions? Any questions here?
No.
Any questions here? Okay. That's a kick and bow tie, by the way. It's almost as cool as the one that I'm actually wearing.
Hey.
Hey, whoa. Besides, if you're going to do something cool, at least, like, I don't know, give me some cool shades or something. And then I can sit here and play the piano for you guys.
Yeah. Ray Charles.
No, we're not drawing stuff. Okay. So, guys, real quickly, I just want to end real quick because it's 3:30 already, and I know that you guys have other things to do. I'm about to throw some cool videos in for you that are going to take what I tried to teach you in this last hour. It's really, really complicated, and they're going to make it a lot easier for you to learn. There's going to be a few short activities. I should have most of them posted probably in the next 30 to 40 minutes. So you have something else that you can go do real quick and then come back and jump on this. That would be fantastic.
Okay.
Also, all the other assignments that you couldn't get into because maybe you didn't have one other one missing, no, they're all unlocked. Jump in, get them all done, especially playing Stick Wars, because you guys are really going to enjoy playing Stick Wars.
All right.
And then the last thing that I'm going to remind you of is I know that some of you are not going to be at the EPIC conference that is not this coming weekend, but next weekend. But for those of you who are, oh, sweet, someone played Stick Wars. Awesome. Okay. For those of you who are going to be here at the EPIC conference, invite a friend. Tell them about it. I can't tell you how excited I am for the group of speakers, and we actually just added a new speaker today. So it'll be a very, very cool event where you'll get to see some awesome things.
Stamp his face, stamp it.
And I'm pretty sure that today is not Talk Like a Pirate Day, but that's okay. All right, guys.
I can do that.
Wait, Stan, but for a second, just stay still, okay? All right, hold on. That's too big. That'll do.
Yeah.
Am I the ultimate warrior?
You're the avatar.
No, I was trying to do David Bowie, but
Oh, okay, okay. But no, you go Google Ultimate Warrior, and this is the Ultimate Warrior making. Yeah, I'm not. Okay, now this is just getting ridiculous.
Hi, Tom.
Who's there? Right
So-
now, I'm just being drawn on.
What? Kaz, what are you doing?
I'm not entirely sure what's even going on here right now.
thanks. All right, hold on.
But I do remember that one time at band camp.
Kaz, what are you doing?
I didn't do that one.
Just kidding. Okay, no. All right. So I gotta go. I'll give you guys one more shot. Here, hold on.
All right.
Okay. All right. That's it. We're done. I got to get out of here because I've got some other work to do. I'll get
All
these
right.
other videos and assignments posted for you guys right now. Check back to our Canvas page. And Campbell, I'll see what I can do to get your Canvas account fixed. Send you another invite. If it doesn't work, email me, or you can even give me a call. Right? I'm not going to send my phone number in the video because I sent you guys my phone number in the past. But if you can get it to work, great. If you can't get it to work, then contact me. But I'll send you that link again right now. All right, Campbell? All right. Cool beans, cool beans. I will see you guys. Actually, I'll be up in Utah this weekend, so I might see some of you guys up there.
You will?
All right. Later, guys.
Can't wait to see you.
Yep. Looking forward to it. We'll see you later.